Okay, let me go to history, bubonic plague, history. Wow, now check this out. It says the Black Death or the bubonic plague, also known as the pestilence, the great mortality of the plague, was a bubonic plague pandemic occurring in Western Eurasia and North Africa from 13. Who was living in North Africa? Jake. Who was living in Europe, especially Spain? Jake. So our 1,000 years were up. So the Most High had to cut us down. If the Most High didn't cut us down, and the number of people that were taken was up to, some say 75 million, others say 200 million. It says in North Africa from 1346 to 1353, it is the most fatal pandemic recorded in human history, causing the death of 75 to 200 million people, peaking in Europe from 1346 to 1353, peaking in 1347 to 1351. So we're talking about 7 years. 6 to 7 years. Because there's a thing called herd immunity. The weak ones are going to die. The babies, the newborns are going to die. The old people are going to die. The sick people are going to die. And the ones that remain are usually of a certain age and they have a stronger immune system. So if there's no cure for it, eventually it'll die off. It'll get the weak ones. That's what happened with the so-called, the C-19. So-called, right? So this is history right here. There's so many directions you can go. But if you notice that it was the bubonic plague took place 1346, 1347, when Constantine the Great sat on the throne and became the ruler of 2 realms. That was in 325. So from that starting point, we got about an extra 20 years. So it was around that time we came into power. This man started going down. He was put down. The Dark Ages. Esau doesn't want to talk about the Dark Ages. They said the Dark Ages was a sad time. Why did they say that? Because they were on the bottom and we was on the top. So who sent that plague? Who sent that plague? The Most High sent that plague. Because why? Because he looked at his divine watch and he said, okay, now it's time to bring my people back down and put the curses back on them, and to bring this people, the Edomites, up. Esau came up because the Most High put the spirit on this man to come up in power. The Most High guided this man to do what he's doing today. So now he's going down. So you know what I'm gonna do? Let me I'm going a little long. Let me just read this and then I'll close. Okay, so it says, well, I started reading it. It says, Bartolome de las Casas, among Los Casas' most direct, successes in this creed or belief, the vision of the Indian destiny as a Jewish. Maybe I got to read on top. Let me come up here. It says, and I'll show you the page. It says the same can be said for the new racist Christian. Christianity is a racist religion. Vocab Malone is a racist religion of geographical discovery. The creed we might call Columbian. Columbian was a famous name, Columbus, which we have seen in various early manifestations, and which has now found its marks in Bartolome de las Casas, among Las Casas' most direct successes in this creed, in this belief. The vision of the Indian destiny as a Jewish one is far more explicit, for they will see the new world natives as what? As descendants of the lost tribes of Israel. Las Casas evidently did not share this view, nor is there any direct evidence that he consequently perceived the Indians in terms of the historic condition of what? Of Jews in new Christians and new Christians. But the age of the Inquisition was, look up Inquisition, characterized by concealed motives and indirect modes of expressions. And if Los Casas did not explicitly attack the dreaded tribunal in his brief of relation, the effect upon Europe, and this goes into something else, but the key point is, he says the Indian's destiny as a Jewish one is far more explicit, for they will see the new world natives as descendants of the lost tribes of Israel. So when they saw them, they said, these are the Israelites. And there's many, let me do this. Let me go to one more. Okay, this is not it. Okay, I believe it's right here. This is page. That was page 164. This is page 168 of Lost Tribes in Promised Land. Okay, Eliot's sense of the deep-lying affinities between the Indian language and Hebrew. Between the Indian language and Hebrew, because they found out that these Indians in America spoke Hebrew. Between the Indians and the Jewish spirit. Now they're talking about the Israelite spirit. So the question is, how in the hell can they speak a Jewish language? Because they're Israelites. This mode at its height is vividly conceived in a pamphlet describing Eliot's activities that was written in London in 1649 by our old friend Edward, that's not saying nothing. Let me jump down to here. It says modern writers and men of great depth, in other words, knowledgeable men, and ability to resolve the first, what became of the 10 tribes of Israel. The second is, what family, tribe, kindred, or people it was the first planted and afterward filled that vast and long unknown country of America. It was the Israelites. So Esau knew this. The historians, the religious leaders, they knew when they came over here, when Christopher Columbus came over here, they knew that they were Israelites. They knew that they were going to encounter the 10 lost tribes. Let me jump down to here. Okay, so it goes on and says, of the 10 lost tribes, Manasseh, that's not the tribe of Manasseh, a man named by the name of Manasseh, had answered that at least some of them were in America. And Winslow, who had himself often observed customs among the Indians, the Americans, the natives, of a purportedly Judaic character. That's what James Adair said when he traded with him. He said there were certain words. He said the word for fire they would call ash, which is Hebrew for fire. They would call on Yahweh. Their customs was that of the ancient Hebrews. So anyway, I'm going to close. But if you can't get the book, it's a long read, a lot of information in there. I'm going to say shalom.